How are you going?
I'm actually doing very, very well. It's about time. Right? So I'm always doing well, but super duper well. I'm super excited about our guest today. Uh, Man, this show, the topic, right? Mental Health Month. It's wild because I mean, it's like anything else. It's like authenticity. And then it becomes a catchphrase thing, and I'm so excited to be able to promote, push up, and get visibility to really great things, doing really good stuff for the right reason. You're right. That's again, I'm
Exactly.
not knocking anything else, but when I find something of immense value that can be life changing for people, you know me, got that big mouth. I gotta shout it out, right? So
Well, there's
cannot
nothing
wait for
better
our
than
guest.
helping people, supporting people who actually are making real changes in people's lives, yeah, and really have the heart behind it in terms of wanting to make life better for everyone. And guess what? If we all feel better, life is going to be better for everyone around us too.
Absolutely, absolutely. So again, I mean, get in where you fit in. And there's so many places to fit in. Stop telling yourself you can't, you shouldn't, you don't, all that goofy stuff. Look who you're talking to, right? Come on now. If I can do it, who can't do it? So surround yourself with good people. We're going to meet several of them here soon. Cannot wait. Oh, look, Jackie's here.
We got two
Daggone. Wow.
Jackies.
Let's see how,
Hello,
yeah,
Jackie.
both
Jackie.
Jackies. Yeah. Jackie Olmstead, Jackie Hallberg. We got HR4U, Chasen. That was the first official nonprofit, right, that the Hound supports, fully puts out there. Super excited. And who else? No,
Sharon.
there'll be more. So, oh, look, Sharon. Yeah, look at these new hounds. These new hounds, they come in and they just throw this kitchen sink at us, man. They are fantastic people. So, how about this? How about Sindal? Sindal Dunn. She is in the backstage running all the stuff. So hopefully I don't push buttons, right? So if you see anything stupid, that's me doing what I'm not supposed to do. But most of y'all are familiar with me. So let's get the party started. Let's roll the intro and let's get through these and get these folks up here. I cannot wait.
Are you looking to grow your business and your mindset alongside a fun and awesome pack? Grab a chair and your favorite beverage and join Mike Ashebrainer, the business mechanic, and his win-win network for the Hounds of Business Happy Hour.
Here we go. I didn't do that. I did not. Melissa Robinson Weinmiller, I didn't touch the buttons. I promise. All right. So, hey, guys, have a ball, have a blast, get to know people in the chat. Don't pitch slap with a P, but get to connect, right? Follow, ask questions. This is going to be an amazing show. I cannot wait. So, let me get to it. We have amazing people and we love spotlighting these folks. So first of all, Mr. Kofi, he don't need a last name. He's like Prince, right? Kofi Duhaji. This guy is a brilliant guy, built from the ground up. Small remote village in Africa. Now he's Air Force, has his own publishing company, Flying Wings, and he's on his second book. First book, Unbroken Optimist, a fantastic read. I don't even read, but I've been reading this thing. Tiny Sparks. I'm going to move to that next, and I have almost finished Regarding Things That Matter by the great Craig A. Williamson. So if you're, and this is very, very telling and a good timely share here because this is all about getting better, right? Doing the inner work, enjoying life in the storms and the good times. These folks have a great real life experience and you can relate to it. Their takeaways are unbelievable. And they're two of the most just gracious, humble, and supportive human beings I've ever seen. So, absolutely scan the QR codes, go check this out. You will not be sorry. Right. And I don't say stuff. if I don't like stuff, I just don't show it. So, you guys know this is the real deal. Thank you, Kofi. Thank you, Craig. Flying Wings, people doing self-publishing, people who have been through publishing. Go check it out. His content is full of free stuff, man. His free stuff is got to be better than most paid stuff out. I mean, seriously, go connect with him on KOFI, Kofi Duhaji. Go check him out on LinkedIn. Wealth of information. Can't say enough about this guy, man. Love having you in the pack, brother. All right. Oh, now listen. Sandra Gonzalez with two Z's. Go connect with her immediately. She is Marine drill instructor, right? In Marine Corps. She is a officer, 20 plus years experience. And now she takes that experience and helps us build our own sexy confidence, right? So many things. She's having a retreat coming up in November 15th. So you got plenty of time to make plans, make travel arrangements. This is for veteran entrepreneurs. Okay, so if you're in support with that, if you work in that real house, connect people with her on LinkedIn. This is going to be life changing for so many people. She is the real deal. She just don't talk the talk. She walks the walk. So I always get so much from her assessments. She's got free material. She is amazing. So thank you so much for your service, sacrifice, and what you do to pay it forward to people in business today. I learned so much from you, Sandra. Love having you in the pack, my friend. All right. And if you didn't catch this, there's still time. All right. Sales Wise Live. We had the great Bob Berger, the Go Giver series. We worked with him for several weeks, making sure that folks have access to go to the live. This is amazing. It really, I mean, this is what we built the principles of the hounds of business on, guys, right? Deepen relationships, increase sales, and get those endless referrals, or as I call it, fierce advocates, people who can't stop talking about you, right? Because they expect me to say I'm great. They don't expect a whole slew of amazing professionals from all walks of life to say you're great. So reciprocity is very profitable. That's what we built our community on, and so honored and so blessed to be able to share Bob. I put some of the short videos. You can watch the replay. This is not an infomercial. Go watch the replay on my profile. All right, Mike Asherbrander. This is chock full of useful information, guys. So we'll be putting more out there. He's got a lot of good stuff that's online, courses and things like that, very accessible and affordable. So I'll be posting on that this week. Go check that out. Thank you, Bob, so much, man. It's been fun working with you guys. And Kim Angeli and Jeff West, they are super pros beyond belief. All right. So Ansel, oh, he's going to be on next week. We got a super special show about sales. All right. So any professional at all would want to show up to this thing. Ansel Lee, thank you, Claire Davis, for introducing us. He is absolutely a phenomenal human being. Cannot wait to have him on the show. And his book is amazing. All right. The more I meet these people, the more I read, the less weird I feel. Like it's affirming. Like, hey, I'm not full of doo doo after all. Like this is really, there's people just like us all over the place, right? Heart centered, high level. We put each other's best interests first, right? So scan this QR code. He will be here next week. Cannot wait. We also have another amazing megastar in the business world, international. He will be here next week. I'm going to keep you guessing. All right, not going to spill the beans. All right, so check out Ansel. Great guy. He is now currently, and he has been for a long time, in health tech and med tech space. The guy is brilliant. Cannot wait to have him on. Thank you, Ansel.
Can I
All
just
right.
say, I can't believe the amount of amazing, really high level, big, names that you are just attracting, like, what do you call it? Honey to a bee or whatever. I don't know what there's some saying around that.
Moths to a flame, my
That's
Australian
it.
buddy. I appreciate that. Yeah, that's good though.
You're going to get the
People on the
Danish
other,
version with me.
yeah, the English version. All right, and we're almost done. Hang in there, guys. All right, Isabel Fortin, great friend, amazing person, and amazing leader of the pack. She does so much behind the scenes. She has done phenomenal job, and again, assessments, I hate them. When she asked me to do an assessment, I said, "Oh, sweet Jesus, man!" Like it was like when somebody tries to get you to buy water bottles because you're their cousin or something, right? And you're like, "Ah." But now I'm so glad I did it. This has been good. HR people, she's worked with some of the best in operations, and they are loving this. It actually shocked me. I was like, really? But when I took it, if you're a team leader or you work with people like I do every single day, then you want to know what makes people tick, right? How they receive praise, recognition, how they think, how they function. So the next time you have a team member that looks like they're just being, you know what, they're probably not. They're actually a compliment. You have to understand how they think and operate so you can get the best out of them, right? So thank you, Isabel. It has been absolutely amazing the feedback she has got. So if you run a team, community, lemonade stand, you have more than one person, go scan the QR code, check her out.
And she's definitely one of
And
my
last but
favorite
not
people in the house. She's amazing.
Oh, she absolutely is. And she's not feeling good. So we're going to send her thoughts and prayers. And then you, all right,
Look at me,
conspicuous
and you got the
gratitude.
right branding. Yay.
I did. I got it right this time. Even a blind squirrel catch a nut every now and then, right? Like, hey, give a guy credit. So cannot can't say enough good about you. Honestly, you have helped me personally. I've brought you into collaborations to help my partners. I've helped clients of mine. You are absolutely brilliant. She's not going to say it. I will. She's worked with some of the biggest names you've seen internationally. Um, Now we get access to her. That's crazy. So guys, scan this QR code. Show up tomorrow. It's tomorrow, right? 8 o'clock, New York
No,
City
it's next week. So this is for my free
next
session.
week.
It's next week on the 23rd at
Good.
what time is it? 8 p.m. your time on the 23rd, New York time.
Okay, good, good. So go scan the QR code. Uh, I'm working on her. She's giving too much free stuff. All right, so hurry up before she actually listens to me and tones it down a little bit. There's always something new. So if you've been to this before, here's the thing: entrepreneurs, you did a task, you did a job really well, and now you run a business, and you realize how much your employers are had done for you, right? Marketing and all these things. So you need a strategy before you start just doing websites and marketing and all that. You need to know what you stand for, what you're all about, and have a blueprint, and then go to work. Boy, that will save you so much time, money, and frustration. So anything you want to add since I'm talking about you like you're not here? No?
No, I think it's awesome, and there's nothing better than you talking to everyone about me than me trying to sell myself. Yeah, so I'm just gonna smile and come and join me, come and connect with me, and let's have a chat.
Listen, hey, real quick, 5 second infomercial. I have got more people reach out to me, all right, about the hounds working with me, the consumer psychology, LinkedIn sales, all that stuff. Showing up to your stuff, just being there to support you has given me more people to talk to. And that, hey, reciprocity, that's what the pack principles are about. It's very profitable. You're right. We're attracting some mega stars. But here's what's fun: it's not just the stage for mega stars. They reach back and they help us get to where they're at. That's what makes this special, right? We can have Bob Berg on one day and then we have me on the next day, right? Like there's equality here. And that's what's special. So nobody's better than anybody else. Nobody toots potpourri. We are here to support one another. And boy, it's profitable as you know what. All right. So without further ado, I actually did good that time. I'm proud of me.
You
Look,
did.
pat on the back. All right.
Oh, you don't like this,
Look,
but I'm
Jamie,
gonna give you the thumbs up. Two thumbs up.
2 thumbs up. There you go. Don't knock my hat off. All right. All right. So let's go ahead and get through this because every time Christine Bell is here in Australia, Skippy the kangaroo, who she keeps telling me is a dog, but it looks like a kangaroo, is chewing on an internet wire. So let's get through this before the storm knocks my stuff out, and let's bring them up. Sindal, go ahead and bring them all up. Just throw them up there at one time. Let's get the party started. There we are. How are you? Let's start with Mr. Jason Wilson. How are you today?
I'm doing great, sir. How about yourself?
Oh man, fair to middling. Can't complain. I'm
Good.
surrounded by the best people all day long, man. How do you? How can I not be good? Right?
I
It's
know,
it's
man. That
amazing.
everybody in the house is awesome.
Yeah, they make it awesome. Again, it's Doctor. I'm the X Men. I just put everybody together. I don't do much else. I put the ecosystem together. You guys make this phenomenal. You guys word of mouth, bringing people to the pack, and people are getting jobs. Man, people, it's amazing. Kids are getting bullied, and we have people helping them not get bullied. It's insane what's happening, and that's all because of you guys. So. Hey, this whole redneck Camelot thing is really taking off, isn't it? So, thank you for being a forerunner of that, Jason. I liked you since the day I met you. I could just tell, man. This big old nose, it's a bloodhound for BS and winners, man. And you didn't let me down. All right. So tell everybody, just give us a little overview because I want to introduce, or I'll let you introduce these ladies because they're your backbone. You know me, right? There's Isabel, there's Christine and a slew of other people that make me look good, and you got them here with you. People make you look good and support you and push you up. So tell us all
Yeah.
a little bit about you, Freedom Fight, and then go ahead and introduce your fine people there, man.
Okay. So my background, I was in the fitness industry for 10 years before I left the States. And I've been down here in Colombia for the past 20 years. And my wife is actually from Bogota, Colombia. We have a 14-year-old son who wants to be a professional basketball player. So we're getting him prepared for that. And my passion is mental health. I had a lot of situations in my family, especially with my mom, who had bipolar depression for 13 years. She's the reason why I do this. And, when she died, I said, I cannot continue my professional career without doing something to help people in this area. especially during the pandemic. So here I am, and that's how Circular Friends Club was born. And also Freedom Fight Expo is a monthly event that we give every second weekend. And when I told Kelly Steinicke about this, she said, Jason, I'm on board. Just let me know what I have to do. So she was the first person that backed me with this. Thank you, God. Thank you, Kelly. And Sarah O'Brien, she's our informed trauma specialist and therapist. I couldn't do this without her either. She's the go-to person for any advice or insight on mental health when it comes to therapy or anything clinical that people are dealing with.
Good job, man. You're so good at this. Can I go? I'll go eat a sandwich. You just run the show. You and Christine. How about that? No, man. He even sits still. I'm like a muppet. I can't get my chair. My chair want to fly back. It's terrible, man. But hey, you're a cool guy, man. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Kelly, I met you through Jason. Well, I've seen you around. You're everywhere, right? So you're a CMO, right? And you do business leadership coaching. Tell the folks a little bit about you, your background, and why you're with Jason.
Yeah. So first, I do want to say, excuse me, my voice is not what it usually is. And everyone knows here, at least, that I'm a talker generally. But I'm getting over being ill, so I do apologize. But in any event, I'm grateful to be here, and thank you so much. And yes, my background professionally has been in the marketing executive space, specifically in financial services, capital markets, and private equity, a majority of my career. I'm one of those people that lost their job in 2020, laid off for the first time, and found myself in the accidental consultant space. And then really was just looking for a way to survive. And not just financially, but in a way mentally, because I had never been unemployed and I had never not been able to get a job. And that was a huge struggle for me. And mental health, I've definitely had some things in my past. I had a tragic loss of my father when I was young. I was in a domestic violence relationship that led to PTSD and some other things. So all sorts of triggers were going off following being laid off, which a lot of us don't realize, that you can have other tragedies in life and they unwind other unhealed items. And so fast forward a little bit, being in the accidental consulting space and working with individual clients and loving it. I was also looking for something else to fulfill me a little bit more, because of course 2020 gave all of us a lot of downtime and a lot of time to reflect. And I was like, I just feel like I'm not living loud enough in my purpose. And I know if I'm going through shit, everyone else is going through something. And I was hearing so many more people talking about the exacerbation of things, or being triggered and having things come up that they hadn't seen for many years. And so long and short, I started my own podcast with Christy Howard, who, God bless her, she's my partner in crime with that. And it was all predicated on the mental health support. It's called The Awesome Journey, because this thing called life is an awesome journey. Doesn't always feel awesome, and sometimes it feels like downright crap. But we're all in it together, and we're all here to support each other. And I think there's such a power in storytelling. And so when Jason was talking about doing the Freedom Fight Expo, of course, I'm like, anything supporting mental health, hey, sign me up. Like, what can we do? The more that we can do, the more that we can make this a regular conversation and not have all the stigma behind it, because our health is our health, regardless if it's our physical health or mental health. And I say this all the time, and I always say, Sarah's the clinical part of, she's this way, she's the other way. There you go, part of us. But all the conversations that I've had, it's just, we all have it. You don't have to be diagnosed with something. You don't have to be taking medication, but we've all gone through something and are going through something, and or will go through something, because that's called life. and having it be a normal conversation that we're not embarrassed to have, and to know that, like, hey, I'm not the only one that's feeling this way. God, this person that smiles all the time suffers from depression. What? Like that should be okay. Yeah, I have down days, and so do a lot of other people, and we just need to be here to support one another. And that's what I think Freedom Fight does. And just to even talk off the first one that we had back in February, it was honest to God, like everyone in the room, every checkbox that society tries to put on us left the room. And all that was there was the human spirit supporting and holding one another. And it was beautiful and it was powerful. And all I could think is like, man, and this is online and we're still able to make that same connection that I think people are just craving. It's great to work at home. It's great to do all these things, but we're isolation and loneliness is an epidemic. And this is just kind of another way to allow people to have access to other people's stories and some assistance tools, connections to people like Sarah. Because a lot of times people hear the word therapist, counselor, what have you, and they're a little bit afraid of it because, like, don't be like, and I've had one for decades. And they're the best thing that ever happened to your life, which is probably a great segue for me to turn it, or Mike, I should turn it back to you, and you can turn it over to Sarah.
Yeah, somebody needs to ask me a question before you want me to start talking.
Yeah.
I need to get back on what I'm supposed to be talking about.
No, hey, we're good. We're all. And by the way, you're a trooper, Kelly. You don't feel great at all, and you showed up, and we thank you for that, seriously, because you care about people enough to kind of put yourself on the wayside for a little bit, and so take care of yourself, and we'll make sure we don't go to midnight like I like to. So, and this is fun for me because we're going to get into all the stuff you just kind of threw out there. We're going to unpack it, but this is really fun because I haven't even met. I haven't met you, Sarah. So I know you're a licensed clinical social worker.
That's
Now,
right.
also, is it psychotherapist?
Yeah.
You tell us. Tell the
question,
kind
Mike.
folks what you do.
Okay, what I do. So I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and that gives me permission to practice independently. And so what I practice is psychotherapy, but you can do other things with a social work degree and with a license in clinical social work. Most people do clinical practice to some degree. I have been practicing for 15 years. I spent the early part of my career in public mental health in and around the Richmond, Virginia area. So I've worked in the city and every county surrounding and their public mental health agencies. They're all grueling in their own way, but I got a lot of valuable experience that way. I worked in people's homes and in the community, and I've always worked with adults, and so it was good experience. But after about 9 years in, I was about burned out, and it's like, you can't be burned out before you're 30. I mean, I got a long way to go. So what am I going to do here? So that's when I pivoted and decided I was going to start my own practice. So now, what is today? The 15th? Tomorrow is the 8-year anniversary of my practice.
Yay.
I did not think about that till now. That's when I think I signed the business license paper in Henrico County, Virginia. That's how I opened my business. I didn't have a client yet. I still had other paperwork to do, but technically 8 years tomorrow. And I never looking back, right? Like, it was, when I got down to it, I was like, what do I like about this job? I hate the bureaucracy of this job. I hate the leadership at this job. I'm not going to lie. It sucked. A lot of stuff that they wanted us to do was really exhausting and unsafe. Not going to lie. They didn't care much about that. And I was burned and drained, but I really loved working with my clients. So I was like, well, how do I do that without all this other shit? I'm so glad Kelly said shit before I said shit, because he knew it was going to happen.
Oh, my ears.
Sarah O'Brien was on the show. It's impossible for me to talk without some curse words. So there you go. And so that's what I like about it. And so I've always been, I really enjoy one-to-one work. And if I could make what I want to make doing one-to-one work, and mental health therapists were valued a little bit more than we are, then I could do that. But there, like we were just talking about pre-show, there's only so many people you can see in a day and be effective. And that's what we should all be thinking about if we're in healthcare. And unfortunately, that's not how any of the systems work, but I do the best I can. Still subject to a lot of the systems, but do the best I can to take care of myself, which is an added in 2021 ethical code to the social work code of conduct. Self-care has been added as one of our pillars for practice, is that we need to be doing that if we're going to be doing this well. So after I was telling them too, I was like working my tail off in 2020 because I had a completely, for 4 years, in person, all my clients living in and around the Richmond City area came to my office, sat on my couch, everything you think of when you think of therapy. And then I moved it all online overnight in a weekend, basically. And that was scary. And I wasn't sure how it was going to like turn out. And so everybody was losing their mind, if we all remember, me included. So it was a real time for therapists to be going through all the same thing as everybody else. And like, yeah, I have my own therapist. Every good therapist has their own therapist. So, what goes around comes around. We know that there's a benefit there. But we're holding a lot of stuff, our own and everybody else's at that time. So I was just working my tail off because people just needed to be seen. But, after 5 months of that, I really just couldn't do it like that anymore. And so really, as I've settled into entrepreneurship and running my own practice, to have a better balance of like what I need for myself. And I can do that a lot more. But as a result of the drain from clinical practice, I am working my way into some other spaces and I'm trying to get to consulting, y'all. That's where I'm trying to head to. Right. So I work with a couple of other networks besides Circle of Friends Club, which is great. And the other one is Integrate Trauma Informed Network. And Katie Kurtz's Trauma Informed Leadership Studio. And these are practice communities for trauma informed skills. Integrate Network actually has a vetting process for skill assessment, basically. And demonstrating trauma-informed skills, because in our world, that's how you treat all people. It's with the assumption of a lived experience of trauma. And if we do that, then we halt or limit pathways towards harm and increase pathways towards safety. And we need safety for relationships, and we need relationships for healthy functioning. So trauma begets trauma and safety begets safety. And we do that via trauma-informed principles and practices, which are skills anybody and everybody can learn. So let me be very clear about that. This is not clinical skills. This is not something I learned in school. This is not something healthcare people have. These are learnable, like interpersonal skills for how to basically deal with anybody, talk to anybody at work, anywhere, the grocery store, whatever you're doing, right? Just with the idea in mind that leading with curiosity means that we're not judging, we're not coming from bias. We're not trying to harm people with judgment, and help people, like this country has as many things as I love. I probably hate as many more. And a lot of the systems is part of it, because we just, for trauma in particular, because I could just go on all day about the physical health issues that come from trauma, but we know it's all connected to everything else. So why we separated it out makes no sense. But anyways, the things that we want to say with that, cancer, autoimmune disorders, Parkinson's disease, GI problems, shingles, like trauma. Back it all the way up to trauma somewhere. And then we blame people for being sick. And it's like, it's not their fault. They're traumatized. And then now they're sick. And I work with individual clients all day. And then in my greater advocacy, hear of this all the time. And I've experienced it myself more than once, of healthcare trauma and being just completely victimized by a healthcare provider, like just insane. And it's like, hey, dude, like, this is not my fault. this happened before I knew I was learning anything, because my trauma started in childhood, like with my family system.
Yeah.
I have developmental trauma. Like none of that was my choice or my fault. I'm still trying to work it out and deal with it. And the shit's hard. And it doesn't end. The journey is forever, and I'm always trying to get better. And that includes professionally and personally. And so I'm trying to take what I know about all that and all my years of being a therapist and specializing in trauma, and working with a bunch of other awesome professionals in different spheres. Like almost nobody else is clinical. Like a lot of my other people are in different disciplinaries, and that's awesome, because then we're all coming together with the same idea, with trauma-informed future for the win, because it works for everybody. And some cool stuff happening there. A lot of trying to build up leaders. One of my mentors works in ed tech and is doing a lot of trauma-informed training there and some strategy stuff. And it's exciting. So I do a lot of writing about this sort of as like my side thing, and talking, obviously, here, podcast, speaking, training. I can do all of that. About any of the clinical stuff, I could talk about that probably with my eyes closed, my hands tied behind my back, and tape over my mouth. I've been doing that so long. But trauma-informed stuff, I'm honing and I'm getting more now. And that's the purpose of these practice communities, because we hold each other accountable in growth in these skills. We have to demonstrate them with each other in work collaborations and meetings that we have and synergy chats. And we do tons of work collaborations or trainings, or we build products together and other things. We have to use these skills. I mean, we're talking about a bunch of entrepreneurs too. Like we're talking about contracts and NDAs, and like we have to navigate conversations about this stuff. And we use our skills in real time with real people, and the harm is minimized, is what I can say. It's not gone, and people's triggers still get plucked, and everybody could still be doing individual work, wherever they are in the process. And so that makes sense. We're not going to be perfect, but by golly, it's working. It's working in that network. And I told Kelly and Jason the first time I hopped on a live with them, I had no idea. That was the same thing, Mike, back when I had no idea who I was meeting and who was hosting the show. Popped right on. And we met every day. But it was just as beautiful as this. And like, you guys aren't in my clinical world, but I hear y'all using the words, right? And supporting and community and not triggering people, and like not being judgmental and being very inclusive and accepting. And it's like, ooh, warm, yummy, for me, because I like live and breathe this stuff every day. But it's like outhouse in my world. If you're not clinical, my husband gets really tired of me talking about this stuff all the time. It's like I found my people, finally, all my people, that we're just kind of there and doing it. And heart-centered human is sort of kind of a pillar of that trauma-informed leadership. Like you got to care about people. Like,
oh my gosh, yeah.
Amen.
You said it. You said it well, because I found my tribe, but found the pack, right?
That's right.
Or they found me. Right? So, and by the way, real quick, because I have to say something silly every now and then. Kelly's hat goes with my cup.
Yes, it does.
So should Kelly send me? She should send me her hat,
and
or
her
should I
mic,
send her my cup?
and her mic.
Yeah,
it says.
I will never give up my mic. It's custom.
I love it.
This is CJ and Sandra's favorite picture of me holding this cup like I'm trying to be all tough and stuff.
That's
It says
awesome.
Not a day over fabulous. There you go.
That's
So
awesome.
when you think fabulous, think redneck, right? So guys, here's what I love about you all. What you do together is you walk the walk, right? Not just talk the talk. This is not just a job or something you do. This is something that is extremely passionate. Jason, you said it best. Your mom struggles, man. I had the same thing. It was not easy growing up and with somebody and she sought treatment. It just wasn't, it was still tough, right?
Right.
Childhood, I was a fireman for 8 years on top of a rocky childhood. So there you go. That explains a lot. But you know what? I hear something and I want to segue into this. Hurt people, but heal people.
Yes.
Or people who are healing, because I don't know who's healed, who's still walking his earth, who can
That's
say,
my
wow.
question. Yep, stand up.
Yeah, but
I don't know anybody.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask. I'm going to get Kelly before the poor thing. I'm so glad you're here. I know this is tough for you. You're a trooper. Let me ask everybody. I'll start with Kelly. what are the most common mental health issues that you think and you see in your daily activity, right, working with folks? And what are the signs and symptoms? So what are some of the most common mental health issues, minor or big, that you've seen that are important? And how do we know, like, maybe this I'm struggling with this?
Wow. I mean, I think it's a hard one for a lot of reasons because I think there's so many people that are struggling in silence. People usually don't say things,
Yeah.
you know.
Mhm.
I think, and I can say I know someone over this last week that unfortunately took their life,
Mm.
and they work
Yeah,
in a
to hear.
mental health space, helping people and in their community, and it's devastating because you don't think that what is happening and could it have been a text, could it have been these things, could it have been all of these things, who knows, we will ask ourselves those questions forever. But I think it is about, and we talked about this a little bit before coming on, because I got sick, like I got hit over like I got hit with a sack of bricks and knocked on my rear in a big hurry and was down and out for a couple of days. And I had so many text messages, but I felt loved. And it was just that whole thing of, and I say this an awful lot, and I will continue to say it, even if it's certain people message. And when people get quiet, that's hard to read because there are people that you don't know. And I can say that about myself. There'll be a lot of people that when I went through some of the worst times of my depression would never know, because out in front of everybody else, I would put on the mask of being happy and being supportive and smiling and all the things. We think we know what good mental health looks like, and I don't know that good's the right word, but healthy mental health,
Healthy.
because we can fake it a lot of times. It doesn't always look like the person that's sitting in the corner. And I say this a lot though too, and I've heard so many people say this, and I know many people that have shared their stories that literally a person that smiled at them made them decide not to take their life that day, because they said, I actually felt like somebody gave a shit. And it's that power of kindness and the power of connection, because we never know what somebody's story is. We think we do. We think we can look at someone, what car they're driving, what they're wearing, how they're carrying themselves, and we think we can make this story about what their life is like, but we have no idea. And it's just being kind to one another and having empathy and compassion. And then to go back to what you were saying, Mike, it's about the whole thing about no judgment. There is no judgment. I'm not a therapist, but man, I will listen to you and I will have you in a safe space, because that's what we need. And we need to feel like it's okay to feel how we feel. Because so much of what's going on, and I don't even want to say in the world, but reality shows and all those things, I kind of thought that took the world to a hard left, because I'm like, that ain't reality. But we just need to have compassion and empathy for one another, and really just to be kind. And I think it is the most basic things that people are looking for, is to feel we're all human beings. We need to feel wanted, needed, and accepted and loved. And I mean, and as easy as that sounds, it's just true.
I just want to add here too, because I think sometimes I don't even know when we don't always know when we're feeling down ourselves. Yeah. We can't always diagnose ourselves either. We just have these feelings and we think, well, this is how life is supposed to be. This is what, I've grown up with. No one talked about it, at least in my generation. Yeah. And I had a girlfriend who ended up with bipolar, but she was only diagnosed when she was in her 20s. And I knew her since she was 5 or 6 years old. And looking back, there were signs, they were there, but it never got discussed. So I'm so glad we're having this conversation finally, that we can talk about things, including that we need to fill our own cup first. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, man. Everybody's been on me about that. And I'm finally listening. I'm hard headed, but I'm finally getting there. I mean, again, that's really probably the tenet of how we built such good relationships in the Hounds. because we truly care, right? I mean, she said she felt loved. Kelly felt loved. I thought she felt annoyed. I was like, man, I don't know, like, yeah, because I was like, man, she's gonna be like, you got to go away. She's gonna hit me with a can of Raid, like bug spray, right?
Never.
But we do, when you just can't disappear and then be like, oh, well, nobody's gonna know you. Like we care about you. So, um, real quick, Sarah, because I want to ask Jason this one. What's your take on it? So you're the one that's in the trenches every day. You're licensed in this. What are some, especially for entrepreneurs? Most entrepreneurs, watch this show. People in business. Some of them are new, or some of them are just been at it forever. So, what are some of the common mental health issues or challenges people face, and what kind of symptoms can we be looking out for?
There's a spectrum of severity. So I think what a lot of times people think of, like, and they're not depicted well in media. People just really have to know that, like, no matter what sticks in your head, it's not quite like that. Even when we're talking about somebody with paranoid schizophrenia, it's not quite depicted quite like that. And that's not very common. So the very severe end of the spectrum of mental health disorders, the things that you think of, paranoid schizophrenia, very much like untreated bipolar disorder, bipolar 1 disorder. Bipolar 1 disorder has the difference is mania versus hypomania. So the extreme high-low would be bipolar 1. The slightly less extreme high-low would be bipolar 2. But both can still be very destructive. Not uncommon, but not as common probably as some people think. And many of these things can be treated with or without medication, depending on what's going on. So that's not a given. I don't push medication with my clients, the ones that want to take them. I really try to make sure they get as much education as they can. They advocate for themselves with their doctor. I have good relationships with a lot of psych NPs that I can refer my clients to in the state of Virginia. And the newer ones are getting better and better at assessing well and taking some more time, even though the system doesn't want us to do that. But I would say probably what's mostly walking around and probably mostly walking around untreated is anxiety, depression, and trauma, 100%. Substance use disorders will go on for a while untreated and unseen, but eventually surface. And I am a spouse of somebody with an addiction, and he is clean 6.5 years, I think now. And so, which is
nice.
Is awesome. So I've walked through that with somebody too. And that's also an area that I treat. That is also, a mental health disorder that is highly stigmatized, and they are blamed for their disorder. And I could almost 100% guarantee you that they have past trauma. People don't use drugs when they are well adjusted and had healthy, loving parents and support systems. That is not how this works occasionally, but really that's not the norm. And so, there's a lot of stigma for that, but less stigma for people with anxiety. That doesn't make any sense to me. We don't choose how it manifests. We don't choose to have these symptoms. I'm a person with complex CPTSD. So complex PTSD and anxiety, and probably a whole host of every other things. There's definitely intergenerational trauma. I know that. I have my own from childhood. I've had significant deaths in my family starting young, and a real messed up family system now, and a lot of estrangement. And my husband and I are opposite attachment styles, and neither of those are secure. And relationships are effing hard, dude, hard. And I want good ones, and I have a lot of training, and it's still hard, and it's harder for people that have mental health disorders. And it's harder if we're judging them and stigmatizing them because they're different, or they don't connect well, or have these outbursts. Ask my husband, when I'm in a dysregulated, nervous system activation of my trauma, you would not want to know me. I promise. It's not this poised professional that sits in front of you. I look like you should lock me up. I like seriously, like I like cannot manage myself like when that clicks on, and like somehow I mostly managed to keep it only happening at home, but my poor spouse, and he has like the opposite reaction. And like, that's just us, and we love each other. And this is hard, it's like, imagine like somebody acting like that at the grocery store, at front desk or whatever, and it's like, you're like, man, they're crazy. That's exactly what you would say. Let's all be honest. That's what you would say if you saw somebody acting like that at the grocery store. But really what we should say is like, damn, that person probably needs something. Like, if it's not normal behavior, why do we think it's there, people? Like, why do we think it's there? But nobody's instinct, especially this day and age, is like, oh, and give that person a hug. Like, at all. Like, me included. Like, I'm in that space. Nobody wants to come give me a hug. That's what I need, a hug. I need a hug. I need somebody to tell me it's going to be okay. Why? Because mine started way young. I didn't ever have parents or anybody telling me it was going to be okay. So I'm like this little hyper vigilant, like bulldog in the corner, like ready to tear somebody's face off to protect myself. That's not going to give me relationships and connections that I need to heal and be in my healing era. But damn it, that's what I need. And like, that's what I want people to know. Like, this is not a choice. Like, people do not choose to be difficult to love or to get along with. Like, only psychopaths are like that. Like, that's it. And that's a real small subset of the population. Everybody else is just like malfunctioning. Like, we are just like not well. Like, things are not in order. We do not have what we need to function well. So what are we seeing in behaviors and symptoms and stuff? People struggling because they're not functioning well. It doesn't look typical because it's not typical, and it should not be typical. It is now because, especially post-pandemic, they're saying like everybody has trauma, so that lives in our body, whether you want to work through it and process it or not, it will come out, and it'll come out sometimes with you screaming at somebody at the grocery store and have no idea that it's your trauma.
And COVID, that's, again, it just kind of made it a spotlight on it. Like, we were all, we're all people. We're all kind of messed up at some degree of one another. But then COVID really made us like, oh man, somebody's got to do something about this, right?
Yeah.
So, again, severity, awareness. This is what I hear you saying. And this is, Christine's got a great question. Awareness, self-awareness, right? Like, say, hey, I'm not okay, right? And then be okay with saying you're not okay. So go ahead, Christine. I appreciate
That's
it.
okay. No worries. No, absolutely. And I just want to share a little story during the lockdowns in Australia that were pretty horrendous here, and they were long and they were full on, yeah. And they tried to lock up everyone with mental illness that are in the homeless area, etc. Literally, they shut down the soup kitchens, everything, yeah. So we were allowed a 1 hour walk around. Guess what? You'd see a lot of people who were really struggling and just literally sitting there going, what has happened? Because they can't be locked up in a room. They need to be outside. They need to communicate. They need to socialize. Yeah. And I must admit, I ended up having fantastic conversations with some people I would never talk to. Some of them partly homeless. Yeah. And just talking to them and sitting down and having a chat. And it was kind of strange that somehow this terrible thing suddenly brought me together with people that I would normally not speak to. But it was very, very, for me, enriching in so many ways. But let's move on, because I want to talk to Jason as well and sort of talk about, because there is stigma around this, albeit it is changing differently. But how can someone overcome the stigma associated with it? Because I think a lot of us will like keep it down. We won't tell anyone. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest thing, Christine, is that, people need to be in a space where they feel safe, first of all, where they can share what's going on. That's the biggest problem that everybody has. And again, when it comes to my mom and her condition, which I witnessed several times, I mean, this was a 65-year-old woman telling me things that happened to her when she was 5 years old, 6 years old. And she walked around her entire life holding this stuff that happened to her. And, she didn't share it with me until she was like in the depths of her depression. So, why does it take all of that to get to a place where you can share your story or, share anything that's traumatic or, something negative that happened between you and a family member or a next door neighbor or a friend of the family, why does it take all of that? It shouldn't. So
Right.
what I want to do with Circle of Friends Club and Freedom Fight Expo is give people that space, give people the opportunity to share their story. That's the most powerful thing that you can do to, release all of those things. And, it will definitely lead you on a path to healing.
Yeah.
Amen.
Absolutely. Kelly, do you want to add anything to this in terms of how we overcome the stigma? Because I think we're all, depending on what degree of what we felt, anxiety or full on mental illness, there's stigma still around it, even though it's thankfully changing.
Yeah, I honestly do believe that it is by having more conversations like this. Because my feeling, truthfully, and one of the reasons I will continue to have these conversations, whether I have a voice or not, is because I hope that it hits the person that's on the periphery, that doesn't participate in things, that isn't really active on social media, that is going to hear something that goes, oh my God, like I can relate to that, or that story resonates with me, and I'm not alone. I'm not the only person that feels that. Those are the people that I feel the power in social media. And I feel like social media, like anything else, there's good and evil in everything. And I'm choosing to use it in a good way to help battle evil. Because I do think the whole thing with stigma and loneliness, of course, the more that we're away from others and having these conversations, the more that we get into our head, and Sarah, you can correct me on the statistic, but I am pretty certain that like 80% of our internal conversation with ourselves is negative. And so if we can surround more of the outside conversation being on the positive, like how wonderful would that be? And just making it a normal conversation and not being such a negative thing. Like, why is mental health negative? We all have it. Every single one of us do. And then the analogy I've been using of late is all of, we can't go to the gym and get fit and then be like, I never need to go to the gym again because I'm rocking it. You're going to have to continue to go to maintain.
Absolutely.
And it's the same thing with our mental health. And that's something I've had to learn grace with myself, is understanding like, good Lord, like, why was I triggered 20 years later off of something and it's knocked me off of my axis? But to be able to go, oh, I get it. And like now, because I have a Sarah in my life and other life coaches and other people, that I know when things are off with me, and I'm okay to be able to say, but I have the moments too where I don't know, that I'm like, man, I just don't feel right. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm off. The hardest things I think we can do as human beings is ask for help.
Yes.
We're the first ones. If somebody that we love or care about asks us like, hey, I need help, we would be like, how quickly can we do it? What can I do? But when we're the ones that need the help, we don't do it. And I'll end on this. Someone, Ben Owen, who I adore, he does a lot of great things helping people get sober, human trafficking and such. And he said, I get so many props for being the person that reaches out to people. And he said, but I'm not the hero. The hero is the person that reaches out to that hand that's reaching to them to give them help. It's like, man, that is so true, because it's so hard. And then why is that? And it seems like it should be so easy. We all talk about it, and somehow it does. The more that we talk about it and the more that we make this be an acceptable thing, just like anything else, it's not taboo and it's not shameful. To go to even Jason's point with his mom and our parents' generation, we didn't talk about stuff. You swept that shit under the rug. You didn't talk about what was going on in your family.
We definitely didn't take it outside the house and talk about it with somebody else. Not
No.
And learning to receive, learning to receive.
That's right.
It's quite hard to accept that
in your body
and let someone actually help us, when we're down. So for me, that was big. When I left my job 9 years ago, I didn't know what was wrong, except I just couldn't stay. And I walked out and then I cried for 3 months. And I'm like, okay, something is up,
Mhm.
something needs to change, and then the personal development journey started. But over to you, Mike.
Yeah, I'm loving this combo. I will put one caveat from personal experience, especially if you're struggling with something and you're opening up at for the first time, be discerning of who you open up to. And this is where I think too, if you're not sure, because the worst thing you could do, at least in my experience, is open up to the wrong people. All right. So let's
Mhm.
Oh,
be
amen.
don't
Amen.
don't be smart. All right. And that's why a circle of friends and Freedom Fight Expo, that's why these collaborations of great people are exist, right? So that's my thing, because you can get knocked down even worse if you do it at
Yeah.
the wrong people, right? So this is why I go into somebody licensed. There's phone apps, there's all kinds of things. Maybe doing that first. All right. But if you can, you may not need somebody that's another question. I'm going to go all up in the weeds here. So Kelly, let me start with you and then we'll go back to Jason. On that note, how can family and friends best support someone who is struggling with some mild mental health issues or some challenges in life that's holding them back, right?
Ooh, well, I can use personal experience. And I actually had this conversation with someone else pretty recently. Being a victim of domestic violence, that's a difficult thing for a family to know how do you talk to that person of domestic violence.
Mhm.
Is the last thing that you need when you're that person is judgment. Because then all the things that you're thinking in your head of I'm not good enough, I'm a piece of crap, I'm all the things that the person is telling me, you're solidifying or you're exemplifying, because that's the information that we're taking. We just need someone to be, and it goes back to this whole thing of, I think what we've been saying is a bit of an overall feeling of this whole conversation is about safety, support, and love, and no judgment. We need to just listen and not. I don't know about y'all, but one of the things that does drive me nuts is when you say something to someone, they're like, oh, well, I can totally relate because this happened to me. And they use an experience that has absolutely nothing to do with the situation. And I feel like people do that though out of discomfort. I don't think they do it to do anything negative. I think they're just uncomfortable with the conversation. So they're trying to say something to make the conversation feel better or the person feel better. But if you don't know what to say you don't know what to say. Like there's nothing more beautiful than that. Hey, I wish I had words, but please just know I am here for you to listen, pray for you, love you, whatever you need. I just don't know what to say.
To make it all about them. Yes.
Oh,
I'm
eh,
with you, Mike.
oh my goodness.
Yeah.
We're all
I'm with
about to
you.
explode on that one. But hey, listen, it was I'm guilty of that. I got to be honest, because it's
We
just
all
like
are.
I don't.
Oh
Yeah.
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 I'm guilty, but I don't know who
It's
it
a
was. Probably
skill.
one of the
It's a
people.
skill. You have to learn a skill to not do that.
Yeah.
Like that,
Yes.
it's like a communication interpersonal skill. Yeah, I do it too. You have to like learn to not, because that's something that could cause more harm to people. It's like really
Yeah.
learning how to validate and saying, like, I hear you. I hear what you're saying. I hear that sounds hard. Like, and literally, yeah, just leaving yourself out and not making it about you.
I think it's one of the people that I wish I didn't confide in, but they gave me two things that I've learned somewhere that really helped me. Is say, hey, how can I best support you right now?
Yeah, that's
So
great.
I mean, and it's not BS. It's like, hey, I'm trying here. I'm about to do what Kelly said you shouldn't do. So instead of that, how about I'm just here to listen. And honestly, guys, in my experience, because I want Jason's input, it's amazing how many times I just listen to somebody like I'm Dr. Phil. Like they'll call me like, why are you calling me? But I know why they call me, because they trust me. I mean, that's pretty much the reason. And then as they start talking, I'm like, holy cow. I've been there. I've done that, right? I don't talk about it. I don't leave with it. It's not my identifier, but I am 7 years recovering alcoholic. So if somebody's struggling with that, I'm glad I listened to it. I'm going to open up about it. And
Yeah.
the amazing thing happened. They actually did it. I didn't, for a million years, I would never think that they would actually do it. And they did it. And lives are being changed through that just, I'm not licensed. I'm not a guru. I'm nothing. But I opened it up and I just said, hey, you know, take this path, do this, gave them hope. And things just started opening up. It's amazing. So what's your take on this, Jason? you know, because it really is. I mean, having supportive people just to be there for you that you can trust is everything. So what's your take on it? And that's what you guys do, really, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's huge. And, I'm going to say this, Mike, and I'm sure that some people can identify with this. Some people have purpose in their names. And so when I was a kid, I asked my mom, why did you name me Jason? And she said, Jason, I got married very young at 19, and I had you at 21. But I always knew as a little girl when I had you that I would name you Jason. And I was like, wow. So I looked up the meaning of my name later on when I grew up. And Jason means healer in Greek. So, that's my purpose. I'm a healer. People have always come to me to tell me about their personal business. I didn't always know what to say. So I just listened to them. And people appreciated it and felt, better afterwards. So, I've always carried that with every single job that I've had, whether it be a personal trainer, whether it be an English teacher, whether it be the owner of a speed dating company. I would just always lend my ear to people, and it was extremely healing to them. So I think that, that's part of the reason why I do Freedom Fight Expo and Circle of Friends Club as well. People need to be heard. That's extremely powerful for people. It's healing. And, it shows people that they can also put themselves in that position where they can share their story, hopefully with somebody that wants to listen to them, first of all, that will believe their
Right.
story. And, even better, they can give some kind of advice. That would be even better, but that's not always the case. So I think that the best thing that you can do for people is just to listen to them.
Really good advice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, and
Now,
also real quick, Christine, and share. I mean, I've opened up to you about things, right? And that also prompts it like, hey, when some other tough guy or old former firefighter, right? And I'm like, hey, I did counseling and I even did like hypnotherapy and sit on a mountaintop. I mean, whatever. Like it gets to the point. It really does. It don't let it build up. Burying your head in the sand is not gonna. It will just continue to eat at you. It will erode you from the inside subconsciously. Do, get it out. Get it out of there. Like I talk about this all the time. Well, I'm manly, right? We got this stigma. Listen, but what's the more manly thing to do? Go fix your shit or kick a stray cat on the way home and be a jerk to your family, right? Like this is what we're talking about. Just stop and think through it. So go ahead, Christine. You got a great question.
well, I'm just going to say, and a shout out to all the members of the house. Guess what? And it's partly you as well. You did hypnotherapy, you have done meditation. You've just been so open to trying everything. Yeah. And really, personal growth is so important to you. And I think that is actually at the heart of the Hounds of Business. We've got so many wonderful members who are all really there to, have been through their personal growth journey, are still on it, open to share about it. And I think that makes for a very special community. So thank you for putting that together, Mike. So, but in the interest of time, Sarah, coming back to schools, I had a friend who was clearly not well that I knew when I was young, and only in her 20s did she get diagnosed with bipolar. What can schools and employers do to better support mental health in your perspective?
Oh gosh,
big questions.
Nobody gonna like my answer, but like the whole system's got to change. Schools now in America have school counselors and often have social workers, but there's not enough of them to like evaluate and have eyes on. Teachers don't have enough support. Employers don't have enough support. People that work in mental health don't have enough support and make enough money to even support anybody with a mental health struggle. It's a systems issue. You need to throw way more money at this type of thing. It's like I saw recently, like social workers are one of the most highly skilled professions and the most underpaid for the skill. It's like teachers, we already know that, and school social workers and school counselors, like that there's not enough of them. But like you can't expect the teacher to be the mental health provider when she's trying to teach. You can't expect the principal who's trying to run the administration to be the teacher. I don't know, right? Like everybody has to like work together and know their role, but there are just not enough resources. Like that's just straight up like how it is. Like that
Yeah.
would make it better, because at the very least you could put more manpower into that. And the more people that you have, paying attention, looking for these things, having the ability to connect with students, connect with employers, and connect with your team, connect with managers, like anybody at all levels of everything has stress, has personal stuff going on. If we just keep expecting people just to produce and drive ahead and whatever, and nobody stops and pauses, and nobody stops and asks how anybody's doing, and then the people that do want to help are like underpaid, undervalued, and burned out, then they can't carry it all. You can't expect them to. You need more people that are going to do it. And to have that is like, you need more resources, which in the US of A means dollars and cents. That's it. It needs money to go towards this. This has to be important to enough people with money that it changes.
Really well
Absolutely.
said. And I also want to say,
Yeah.
Jackie Olmsted just pointed out, parents also need to step up in terms of maybe teaching parents more about, watching the signs, both in themselves and their kids.
And what I'd say about parents is like, parents need to do their own work. What would be best is if parents did their own work before they have kids, but we're not quite at that space.
That's true.
But that's what it is. Like, you are not going to do your kids any favors in mental health if you are not doing something about your stuff. So that's the best thing that you can do, because some of that is modeling to them what they need to look for.
Yeah. Oh, wow. And generational baggage. You can't teach what you don't know. And I think that's what's
Right.
really got me supercharged. I mean, first of all, if I can't get better, I can't help more people. The
Yeah.
hounds,
And
what I do in my businesses as a
Yeah.
human being absolutely has impacted people. And I'm not being, I need to recognize that. I'm like, oh, it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. Right.
Yeah.
I'm using my pain, my struggles, all the things, and I'm giving it to someone else so they don't have to go through the same crap, or at least not do it alone. Right. So, yeah, man, this is so much fun. We're going to have a round two, but let me ask Jason, because he's over here asking me if I did my jumping jacks on LinkedIn and stuff, and I'm like, all right, so I finally got my double in bag. All right, and I had to cut out all of it. If y'all want to, if you're nice to me, I will show you guys how goofy I look. But anyway, here's the question: what role does diet and exercise play in lifestyle, play in mental health, Jason?
Oh, it's huge, man. I mean, I tell people this all the time, and I used to say this when I was a personal trainer too. It's really, really hard to be depressed when you're on some kind of regular exercise regimen. It really doesn't matter. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna release those endorphins, and you're gonna automatically feel better. It has the same effect as listening to a beautiful piece of music. You're not going to feel depressed listening to that. So naturally, it doesn't take going to the gym and lifting weights for 2 hours. You don't have to do that. You can go out for a walk. You can take a bike ride. So yeah, exercise is really, really important, and diet too, of course. Emotional
But
eating, eating a bunch of chocolate and ice cream and watching Netflix, that's not going to make you feel good. So,
What?
so that, you have to.
especially oh, I'm sorry, there's a delay. Especially when you're in your 40s and you sit there and eat a pack of cookies and wonder why your belly hurts all day. No
Yeah.
thumbs pointing there. So,
Sounds
but
like
again,
conversations between me and my spouse.
You don't like
oh
thumbs
yeah,
up, but you're okay with thumb sideways? Is that what I just got out of that?
you got it. This guy, yeah, because you know when we're building a business and we're worried about the electric bill, and I mean we have not just excuses, Jason, but reasons, right? That we don't prioritize. I did it for a year and a half. I'm just now coming out of it, where I've got to keep going. I got to keep pushing, but that's not sustainable. So you're absolutely right, man.
Yeah.
Taking a brief walk, absolute. Today I did like a nursing home style workout, and it was so like I feel so much better than if I had just kept pushing, myself to work. So, again, take note of this. Just because you think, well, I don't have the time, you don't have the time not to. You I'm serious. You
Yeah.
got to take care of yourself. I was a fireman, so the whole oxygen mask thing, absolutely. Somebody rips your mask off, all right, they're going to sleep until I get it back on, because I can't take care of other people until I take care of me. And that's the mantra. Take care of yourself. You have a lot to give. You have a lot to come up with. You got a lot of value to give the world. you can't do that if you're still stuck in your own mud, right? So personal responsibility was a huge one for me. I quit blaming stuff, quit blaming circumstances and people, and said, listen, who's allowing this? And then I had to do that nasty, awful work and jump into the childhood trauma and all that crap. And you know,
Mhm.
but I'm telling you, it is the most painful shit you'll deal with. However,
That's right.
it's the it's
Yeah,
the most rewarding shit
That's
because when you
right.
get to that light of the tunnel, I mean, again, and you'll attract people, you'll attract opportunities. It was amazing. As soon as I started working through it, I said, where am I going to find all this stuff? Well, it was already here. I
Yeah,
just couldn't
right.
see it because I was stuck in the mud, right?
Mhm.
So, look, everybody in this panel is like, yeah, it's like preaching at church, man. You already know, right? So
Yeah.
here we're gonna have to have a round two, but let me ask everybody, and we'll start with Kelly. We'll pick on her. All right, and then Christine, you answer this too if you want. So someone's out there, the little baby step, right? Someone's out there struggling, right? A little Kelly, and they're depressed, they're sad, they're off, they're just not feeling good. They're just kind of stuck in a rut. What's your, I don't know, advice or something that you've learned from experience that they can do, right? Just to take that first baby step toward that happy, toward that peace, toward healing.
I love this question. Yeah, because I think sometimes, people can look at like all of these things and be like, oh, that's so much stuff. I can't do all
Mhm.
of that. Start baby steps 100%. I do a 5-minute journal every day. You don't even need to buy one. You can just go to the dollar store and get a notebook. And it's about waking up in the morning and you start your day with the 3 things of gratitude to start your day. And you end the day with the 3 things that you are grateful for. And as simple as that sounds, it is all about our mindset. And everybody hears that over and over again. And they're like, oh, that's so lame. But the reason you hear it over and over again is because it's true. Like there's a little secret. And when you start doing those tiny little things that fight, and it doesn't even take 5 minutes, it will start to change your frame of thinking. Because when we start our day going out into the world, thinking these positive things of gratitude, we pull information to feed that belief. So our days will start feeling like they're better. But it's not that they're any different. It's just we're seeing them different. That's all.
Oh, beautiful. It is like nothing's
Yeah.
really changed. Human nature's been the same as for thousands of years. But it's like the ways. I forgot where I heard this. I think it was some yogi. He was trying to advertise his his meditation stuff. And it was like in the 70s, so it was real bad graphics, but it was kind of cool. It had him meditating on a surfboard, like on a big wave. And it said you can't control the waves, but you can learn how to surf. Go meditate with Yogi, whoever, right? It was the most brilliant thing. I've never forgot it. So eh, yeah, it's not life's going to get easier. It's just you're going to get deep. You build your resilience. You're going to be stronger. You're going to be able to handle the crap that comes at you. Right? It's
Yeah,
like putting a raincoat on. Well, you're still in the rain, but you're not getting soaked. Right?
that's right.
So, all right, let me
Right.
kick
Life's
this
not happening
to.
to you. Life's happening for you. Like that's part of the how we face it, right?
Yeah, well, as soon as I stopped expecting life to be easy, it got easier. Right? Like, why
Right.
is this happening? Well, because it happens. We live on a fallen earth. Yeah. But when we realize how powerful we are, and that's the power of connection and belonging. And I would have done a fraction of the growth I did in the last 2 years. Most of my life I didn't grow, but now I'm around winners who talk about winning things and they share and they want to push you up. It's amazing, and I really love Freedom Fight Expo. I love the circle of friends because it's just like authenticity and other things, right? It loses its oomph. Now it's like a marketing tool. So it's really refreshing to see people who are real. They're here for the right reasons. They're doing this because it's a passion, because they've been there and they want to help you. That's it. So scan the QR code. Make sure that you reach out to folks. Right? Just go have fun. Nobody's gonna call you out, right? I mean, come on. So, baby step question to you, Jason. Somebody's struggling. They haven't really opened up about it, or maybe they got burned and they opened up about it. What's a step or two they can take to get unstuck? Just make that little progression.
I think that the first step is surround yourself by people that can support you, and that's what we're all about at Circle Club. It doesn't matter who is in the community. They're going to be on your side to support you. You can take a look at my LinkedIn profile. I'm always giving somebody the spotlight, and making people feel that they're special and that they're part of a group that really, really cares. So being around people that support you is, I think, number one on the list.
I'm giving some feedback issues, but hey, dead on. And again, I
Okay.
could shamelessly plug the hounds, but that would be cheesy. But it's true. I mean, you can't hear people talking about winter things. I love being online most of the day. Almost all of my days online now, and it's not because I don't like real, going in the neighborhood and talking to people. I can't relate to them like I can to people across the world. Like people with common interests, people that share the values, right? People who've been through the same crap I've been through. It's like, well, I got hurt, I got betrayed. Oh, you have too, right? Like you can't do that. Just walk down the street. You look weird. Right? Just go ask your mailman tomorrow. Like, hey, you want to talk about mental health? Like,
That's me. From my God, Sarah.
Your steering wheel's on the wrong side of the car. It's got to be a rough day every day, right? I mean, that's what I'm thinking. So, all right, Sarah, what is your take? You're the one here that does this day in, day out. What is some baby steps and even some resources that people can tap into? Obviously, circle of friends and all that, Freedom Fight Expo. But what are some things that somebody can do just to get up and move just the needle just a little bit?
Yeah. First, I want to say I love what you said about like connecting with people online. That's how I'm feeling these days because I finally found my value aligned people and like just hanging out with my dogs and my value aligned people online is working for me. So I totally resonate with that. Okay. I'm taking it way basic because I see people where they start. And I'm going to say deep breathing because people don't even do that consistently. And when you can start to do that consistently, it will turn down the cortisol knob in your brain and stop pumping out that stress hormone, which is coming no matter what discomfort you are feeling, physical pain, emotional pain, a symptom of something, loneliness, anxiety, stress, cortisol, pump it. So deep breathing is where you're going to start. People are starting with a whole number of steps. I love Jason and his vision. However, people are starting a whole host of steps before they're finding a supportive community. Let me just say that. So if that feels like really overwhelming for people, that's okay. Let me tell you something that you can do if being a part of community or a circle of friends club, and then I'll give you some other things you can do, is be a lurker. So one of the people in my other network is a community manager, and she is awesome. And so she sort of taught me this. I think it's not the greatest word, and they're maybe working on it, like wherever in the world of community management. But a lurker is somebody who's like kind of part of the community, but not really participating. But they're just kind of there, and they're kind of watching, and they're kind of reading. And it's like, and Mike might understand this if he's ever been to a support meeting. I have for various reasons. It's like you don't call somebody out; you let them kind of come to it.
Right.
You're like,
don't call them out.
Hell no, right? Like you don't overwhelm them, but you just let somebody kind of observe and learn and hear and whatever. So that's what I would encourage people to do about a community. I know you don't want to talk. I know that, and this is what I tell people when my clients fight me all day on like, I'm not going to a support group meeting, Sarah. And I'm like, you don't have to talk, but please just sit in the back. And I don't care if you sit in the back for a year, but please just do it because they're not going to sit in the back for a year is the point. If anybody, like somebody's going to talk to them, they're going to talk to somebody. It's going to become comfortable. But until you feel comfortable, just listen. Just sit and listen. And then when you feel like there's an end somewhere, then take it. So start with deep breathing, maybe lurk in the background, and start to just try to pay attention to yourself. Like the people are also not doing that. And I don't mean like selfish and self-focused, like in the way, but like pay attention to your body, to your routines, like how you feel after you do stuff, how you feel after you interact with people or you spend time on this activity. People are going to be starting way back before they call a professional or tell anybody else what's going on with it. So you're going to get overwhelmed. Try some deep breathing. You're not sure what to do, lurk in another community and listen, and then try to start paying attention to what's happening for you. And at some point, you might want to ask somebody some questions. And that's a lot of the time where I say somebody shows up and they're, sitting on my couch and telling me, something's not feeling right, or it's not working for me anymore, you know. And then we start unpacking it, and I don't know what we're gonna find, and they don't know what we're gonna find. But like the thing that you said, Mike, you know, like going through that shit, I do it too. Like I'm doing it too. My spouse is doing it right now, and it's sort of like the thing that we say. And you know, the thing I tell my clients, it's like it is just shit. When you were trying to work on that stuff, it's horrible. It does not feel good to look at all your stuff and open it up and do it. But one of the greatest joys of my job and one-to-one session with people are the people that stick with me, right? Like we get the rapport, and I see them do that work and get to the other side for themselves. And man, it is awesome to see them excited about their life, to have a positive thought about themselves, you know, to like I had a client recently who just planned a solo trip to Thailand, like never been out of the country, going by herself, like because she's healing and getting healed, and like it's awesome to see people come to that. So for somebody that sees people do it, going through the shit will get you to the brighter side.
Hey, absolutely. And I love that advice. Be a lurker. You don't have to go in. And by the way, these support groups, we had the Ironman champion in that thing, man. We had, you know, it's like, don't put a stigma on the group. Just get your ass out there and do
That's
it. Just do it.
Just
I
sit
mean,
there.
seriously,
Just sit and
man,
listen.
just and go listen. Nobody's gonna call you out. If they do,
That's
just
right.
leave, right? But nobody will. And that's the thing. Take action, right? Surround yourself with people that you want to be like, that's been there, done that, who's just a few steps ahead of you. That's the best advice I have. So Christine, I'm gonna let you close this out. If you have something to add, absolutely. Because you've done a
Sure.
lot of work.
So this is what I've done for myself, and I love everything you guys already said, so I won't repeat this, but this is what I did. I figured out just doing things that I absolutely love doing for no other reason, that there's no pressure on it. So for me, it was drawing. So I actually started coloring and drawing, and this was during the lockdowns. And for me, that was the first place where I found a space where I didn't want to show to anyone. It was just for me to feel good, to feel peaceful, to feel joy, and with no expectations, no hidden agendas, nothing to achieve. And then I met Claudia through the hounds, which is amazing. So I love what she does too, which is all about that connecting with your emotions through art.
Exactly.
So that would be my advice as a small step. Find something you truly love doing, whether it's walking in the park with your dog, watching the fish, which I do as well, horse riding or drawing or whatever it is.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And you see, she sends me pictures of her little cute one-eyed dog over there jumping in the water. It's so cute. And it's motivated me because I'm like, well, I don't have time. Well, she's just as busy as I am. So that's not a good excuse, right? Iron sharpens iron. So, Jason, thank you so much. Where can people find you? Where's the best place?
So on LinkedIn,
Learn more.
here on LinkedIn at JW the Healer, or at our website, circleoffriendsclub.com. Either one of those places. I live on LinkedIn, so I'm always there. But on our website, of course, too.
Absolutely. And Sarah, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for
Where
having
can
me.
folks find you?
Same. I'm living on LinkedIn like Jason these days. Or my website, SarahO'BrienLCSW.com. Everything is there for you. If you want to chat, I'll definitely be on LinkedIn. Shoot me a DM.
You got it. Christine Bell, you're amazing as always. Wonderful co-host. Thank you for your leadership in the Hounds. We will be having a new networking event soon. Thank you for putting those things on. They're amazing. And again,
Do you
hey,
want me to give the date? It's actually happening on the May 27th at 6 p.m. New York time. I'm just about to put it in the Hounds. So if you're not part of the Hounds yet and you want to connect with some wonderful people, sign up for the Hounds and you can be part of the networking.
Yeah, and we're putting a newsletter out so nobody misses anything. So newsletter from LinkedIn and also email will be coming out soon. That thing has been wildly, unexpectedly popular. Right? We had 7,000 subscribers in like a week or two or something. It's crazy. So,
Awesome.
you know, oh man, it's great. So I can't thank you
Better than
guys
live
enough.
LinkedIn.
Jason, yeah, no, Jason, I thank you honestly because I'm real picky about who we put out there, and you are the real deal. You're all heart. You put people's
Thank
best
you.
interests first, and we can't shout you out there. So anything that you need, love having you in the pack. we support you 1,000,000%, just like we do HR for you and Chasen, man. Amazing
Oh,
people doing
Jason.
amazing things. Oh, who doesn't love Chasen, man? You know, he's something else. And Sarah, you're a gem. Appreciate you. Christine,
Thanks,
again, thank you. Everybody in the audience, thank you so much. You make this live stream and everything so impactful. And you don't understand the dividends that happen, the compound effect that you guys have. I'm going to encourage all the hounds, start sharing these stories in public, start sharing them in the chat, because more people need to be inspired by what you do on a daily basis. Yeah, our business, we do make money, we do earn more business, but I think that's a direct result from because of who we are as people, right? We're growing as people. We're growing the inside. We're not, we're pushing people up, not holding them down. Of course, you're going to do business, right? You're going to do more business if you're happy and you're healthy and you're motivated, right? And you're supported. So join the pack. Check us out, guys. Love you all. Sindal, go ahead and run that outro. We will see you. Hey, sales class. You're going to learn a ton of stuff. All right, next Wednesday with Ansel. And we got a special guest. Do not miss that. Share it with your friends. It's going to be a lot of good information, guys. All right. Have a good one. See you on next Wednesday.
Man. Appreciate you.
Thank y'all for stopping by. Be sure to follow, share, and like, and send me a message if you had fun today. Y'all come back now.